we are going back to the moon. But not for a visit. This time we are staying. What if the next city humanity builds isn't on Earth, but 380,000 kilometers away, on a place with no air and no room for error? One small mistake here doesn't just cost money, it costs lives. A place where the ground is razor-sharp dust that cuts through boots and wheels, where temperatures swing from searing heat to freezing cold in hours. And yet, NASA is planning to build exactly that, a moon city, a permanent human presence in one of the most hostile environments ever known. Here's the real question. How do you build a city where nothing wants you to survive? In 1969, humanity went from zero to walking on the moon in less than a decade, powered by computers weaker than a toaster. 6 missions, 12 astronauts. The Apollo program proved we could do it. So why did we stop after 1972? Cost? Politics? The truth is simpler. We didn't stop because we couldn't go back. We stopped because the urgency vanished. Once the US had beaten the Soviet Union, the space race ended, and there was no reason to pay the price. Now, the great silence is over. High-security labs around the world are quietly drafting the blueprint for the first off-world city. It's called Artemis. This isn't Apollo 2.0. This is humanity learning to survive on a dead world. NASA's Artemis program is the most complex logistical puzzle ever. It starts with the SLS, a 322-foot rocket producing 8.8 million pounds of thrust. Every launch drops 2 billion of hardware into the ocean. We're using the most expensive taxi in history to build a house, but not where Neil Armstrong took his first steps. That was the Sea of Tranquility. This time we're heading to the moon's South Pole, a jagged, shadowed landscape, one of the harshest in the solar system. And hidden in its eternal shadows is the key to survival. Water ice trapped in craters that haven't seen sunlight for billions of years. On the moon, water is more than just a drink. Water is life. It's oxygen to breathe. It's hydrogen for rocket fuel. If we can harvest that ice, the moon stops being a destination and starts being a gas station for the rest of the solar system. But getting to that ice is a nightmare. The temperatures in those craters drop to minus 415 degrees Fahrenheit. At those temperatures, steel shatters like glass. Your rover's lubricants turn into glue. Your batteries die in seconds. NASA's solution? The Viper rover. It's a golf cart-sized machine designed to play a high-stakes game of the floor is lava, except in this case, the floor is liquid nitrogen. If Viper fails, the city dies before the first brick is even laid. But let's talk about that city. You can't just fly bags of concrete to the moon. It costs $1 million per kilogram. To build a city, we need millions of tons of material. The solution? In situ resource utilization, or ISRU. We aren't bringing the city with us. We are growing it out of the moon itself. The surface is covered in regolith, a fine glass-like dust formed by billions of years of meteor impacts. It's sharp, abrasive, electrically charged. It sticks to everything: spacesuits, equipment, airlocks. During Apollo, it caused seals to fail, equipment to break, and even got inside spacecraft. Now imagine building an entire city in that. To an engineer, it's a nightmare. To a builder, it's the perfect raw material. Companies like Icon are working with NASA to develop giant 3D printers that can operate in a vacuum. These robotic arms will scoop up the lunar dust, melt it with lasers or microwaves, and layer it down to create solid structures. We are talking about 3D printed landing pads, 3D printed roads, and eventually, 3D printed habitats. Imagine a giant robotic spider spinning a web of molten glass and rock until a dome emerges from the dust. But even with a 3D printed shell, you have 2 massive enemies: radiation and meteorites. On Earth, our atmosphere protects us. On the moon, you are standing in a shooting gallery. A pebble-sized meteorite hitting a pressurized habitat would be like a grenade going off. And the cosmic radiation? If you live on the surface for a year without shielding, your risk of fatal cancer skyrockets. This brings us to the hidden layer. Some architects believe the surface is a fool's errand. They are looking down. Millions of years ago, the moon was geologically active. As lava flowed beneath the surface, it left behind massive empty tunnels called lava tubes. Some of these tubes are miles long and hundreds of feet wide, large enough to fit entire Earth cities inside. By building inside these natural bunkers, we get free protection from radiation, a stable temperature, and a roof that can't be punctured by space rocks. But how do you get into a cave on a world with no GPS and jagged cliffs? This is where the moonfall drones come in. Autonomous flyers that will map these dark voids using LiDAR, looking for the perfect hole in the ground to call home. But here's where the story takes a turn. Even if we build the walls and find the water, we have a power problem. On the moon, a day lasts about 28 Earth days. That means you have 2 weeks of blinding sunlight followed by 2 weeks of total freezing darkness. Solar panels won't cut it. To keep the lights on during the lunar night, NASA is going nuclear. They are developing fission surface power, small portable nuclear reactors that can be dropped onto the surface and run for 10 years without maintenance. These aren't the giant cooling towers you see on Earth. They are sleek robotic units that will hum away in the distance, providing the heartbeat for the colony. But as we push closer to the launch of Artemis 2 and 3, a chilling realization is setting in. The moon isn't just a technical challenge, it's a psychological one. Imagine living in a space the size of a shipping container with 3 other people. There is no wind, there are no birds, there is no smell of rain. There is only the hum of the air recyclers and the smell of recycled sweat and ozone. NASA is obsessing over space architecture, the science of keeping humans sane in a sterile environment. They are designing habitats with adjustable LED lighting to mimic Earth's day-night cycle. They are building music corners and inflatable modules that feel less like a submarine and more like a home. Because if the pioneers lose their minds, the city becomes a tomb. And yet, despite all the danger, we are in a frantic race. Why now? Why the sudden rush after 50 years of silence? Because we aren't the only ones going. China is planning its own international lunar research station. They are targeting the same South Pole craters. They want the same water. The moon is no longer a scientific curiosity. It is high ground. It is the ultimate strategic territory. If one nation establishes a permanent presence and claims the peaks of eternal light for power and the craters for water, they effectively control the gateway to the rest of the solar system. The Moon City isn't just about discovery, it's about sovereignty. We are currently in the most dangerous phase of the plan, the buildup. Artemis I proved the rocket works. Artemis CI took humans around the moon in 2026. Next up, Artemis 3 will attempt the first moon landing of the 21st century. But even then, we are just scratching the surface. The real work begins with the Gateway, a space station that will orbit the moon, acting as a train station for lunar commuters. From the Gateway, astronauts will board landing craft, descend to the surface for 30-day missions, and eventually year-long stays. We are moving from flags and footprints to settlement and sustainability. We're learning to live in the dark to eventually reach the stars. The moon is no longer just a destination. It's a mirror, the first suburb of Earth and the proving ground for Mars. The city is coming. The reactors are humming. The drones are ready. All that's left is that next giant leap, and this time, to stay. If you want to see inside a lunar lava tube or how we'll grow trees in low gravity, stick around. The future is closer than you think. NASA is playing for keeps. Are you ready to call the moon home?